So just tell us the story behind the story of the Bookability Formula, who it's for and how it can help.
Oh, the story behind the story. So I was reading a book called The 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. He said that the 80-20 principle is fractal. So you can apply 80-20 to 80-20. And I thought, well, if you do that, you end up with 64-4. If you do it again, you end up with 51-1. And I thought, I wonder if 1% of actions actually do give you more than 50% of the outcome. And I sort of thought, well, let me look at my speakers in my bureau and let me see how many of those brought in the business.
Yeah.
Thinking it's going to be 20% bringing in 80%. When I actually looked at the numbers, and I looked at the numbers for London Speaker Bureau, which is like one of the biggest bureaus on the planet, I had a business relationship with them at the time, I found that 1% of the speakers were bringing in 80% of the bookings and over 50% of the revenue, which is like, whoa. Which is where the subtitle comes from, by the way, what the 1% most book speakers do.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to understand why. Was it that they were the most famous? Was it that they were the celebrities? Was it that they were the most expensive because they were bringing in over 50? And it wasn't. What happened was they were actually in the $5,000 to $20,000 price point, which is immensely achievable for anybody. And they were names you would not have heard of unless you were in the industry.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't know who they were. So Mary and I started looking at what was it that these individuals had in common. So it was 45 speakers, just to give you some perspective, being booked globally by the 25 offices around the world of London Speaker Bureau again and again and again, out of 4,489 on the roster. And we discovered they had four main key areas they excelled in. And then what I did is I took those four key areas and I then turned it into a formula, because there were aspects that would affect those areas both positively and negatively.
Yeah. So hence the Bookability Formula, which is 4 pillars.
Yeah. So the four key areas that they excelled in were, one, that they were relevant to a current paying market. Really important, because you're not going to get booked and paid if you're not, right? So they were dealing with a pressing problem. The second, that's R. Second, K, they were known for one thing, one topic. Right? If you think of Simon Sinek, start with why. Yeah, that level of relatability and recognition, and by the right people. So they were known in the industry. You didn't need to be known outside of the industry necessarily, although Simon is, of course. Then you're memorable, so that the speech is memorable to the audience, that they can repeat some of the content, but memorable to the booker because of how you work with them and the outcome you deliver. And then E, which is the one that most people don't think about, is easy to find, first of all, easy to book and work with, and then easy to listen to, because not everybody is, right?
I like that you whispered that. Not everybody is.
Not everybody is. So those are the 4 keys. And then the formula, we add those up, put them in brackets. And then what we have is those 4 keys are to the power of V. In the book, I say multiplied by, because I don't want to lose too many people. I've already got algebra in there. But it's to the power of V. V being value. That's your return on investment, your return on time, your return on objective. That the value you deliver multiplies it dramatically.
Yes.
And then all of it is underlined by a little E that every speaker needs to get onto stage. But if that gets too big, you're in trouble. And that little E is ego. So that's the Bookability Formula.